But yeah, I wanted to kind of walk through that last play, or probably the biggest play of the game, maybe biggest play of the year with Renfrow and DC. So um, we'll walk through a little bit, and hopefully I can do a good job of explaining what we're seeing on film. But essentially, I'll give you the kind of the down and distance here, the situation that was there. So it's tie game, 20-20. Raiders on the last drive of the game here. Fourth quarter, 54 seconds left, and a third and 10, which was obviously a big situation where you don't want to have to punt, give the ball back to the Colts, who had all three of their timeouts at that point. So what we have is Carr's in the shotgun. You have Richard to the left of him, and then you got a 3-by-1. So Foster Moreau is the one. He's up at the top, or he's on the line, but he's at the top of your screen if you're watching, or if you're watching at home. But he's standing up, not in the 3-point stance to sit there and block, but that does change as the play moves on. So we've got Moreau up top, and then a 3-by-1 at the bottom with Renfrow's in the slot. You got Zay Jones, who's playing the 2. Deshaun Jackson's the 1. On the Colts side, you got 7 straight across the line, which basically it's 4 down linemen, 2 backers. They have Darius Leonard, who's in the B gap on, which is our left guard, which would be John Simpson. So he's in the B gap. He's showing blitz. And then you have another backer who's outside. He's on the other side of there's a down lineman to the right of Leonard. He's on the other side, which is kind of that wide 9 technique. And so he'd be coming off the edge. So the seventh person across the line is a DB. That's Kenny Moore. He's actually playing man against Renfrow, who he manned up on predominantly for most of the game. So what ends up happening is the Colts run this D-line stunt. Darius Leonard wraps around. So he goes from our left guard, John Simpson. He kind of wraps around the left D tackle and the left end kind of stunt, where they basically pinch and piss to the center a little bit. Leonard wraps around and basically takes on the outside shoulder of, I believe it was Brandon Parker. He does that. He wraps around in that blitz. Oh, sorry, actually, I'll stop before I get to there. But in the back end, the Colts showed kind of this cover 2 look. So they had the corners on each end. They're playing about what looks like 5 to 7 yards off the ball. And then you had these 2 single high safeties. They shaded more towards that 3 side, but still playing that kind of that deep zone model. So anyways, they show cover 2 high safeties towards the wide receivers. Excuse me. 3 wide receiver slide. Like I said, snap the ball. Those 2 D linemen pinch, piss the center. Leonard wraps around, takes the outside shoulder of Parker, which he ends up beating him, which I think everyone saw. As far as the routes go, Moreau actually, he's lined up as a wide receiver on the line, but ends up staying to pass protect. You have Zay Jones, who's in the 2 inside of, he's in between Renfrow and Deshaun Jackson. He ends up running this deep corner. D-Jax, I believe, and it's hard to see on what the film is. If we had the all 22, I could probably have a better idea, but it looks like he runs kind of this like 10 to 12 yard out. So you have D-Jax taking out kind of that corner, that zone, that cover, or that third zone area. You have Zay Jones attacking up the seam, runs that corner route, and then Renfrow, he kind of runs his old Renfrow thing where he does this kind of stutter. It's kind of like a slant, but he ends up dragging across the field. So that was Carr's look. You can see it was his look from the beginning, but because Leonard works around, beats Parker off his outside shoulder, he's pursuing Carr. Carr has to get off Renfrow, as you mentioned, sidestep, step up in the pocket, and Renfrow kind of ran that like stutter drag. Renfrow works all the way up across. Carr steps up, ends up getting hit by a D lineman who was, it looked like roughing the passer, but whatever. Guess we're not going to get the call. So, but Carr ends up putting it because Renfrow ends up beating Kenny Moore. Moore's trailing, so he's underneath. So if Carr underthrows it, that's easily a pick. Puts it right exactly where Renfrow needed it to catch it. So Renfrow makes an incredible play, ends up getting touched, even though the play continues where Renfrow gets up, ends up running for a touchdown. So just a big play overall, but probably the biggest play of the year for the offense. O-line did a good job because they kind of they slid to the left with the pressure that they saw. Obviously, it's not good for how Parker got beat, but Moreau did a good job of staying in the pass block. Richard was able to pick up someone else too in there And once Carr was able to work past Leonard, the left sideline did a good job holding their guys to where there wasn't anyone that he kind of just worked into. So he's able to step up, make a big play down the field, ends up being, the biggest play of the game, one of the bigger plays of the year. And yeah, big touchdown for the Raiders. Hopefully I explained that well. But all in all, it was just a huge play for us and really was able to get us out of Indianapolis with a W. So that's what I saw.
Now, I think you explained it perfectly well. I think you know came down to a spectacular play by Carr with the dodge and the throw, spectacular play by Renfrow with the
Yeah.
catch, getting back up, scoring the touchdown. Like I said, we talked about it. Got called back,
Mhm.
ended up working out for us, but I think you just saw two athletes making some big plays. When it counted.
Yeah, it's interesting that they ended up. I mean, I get why they manned up Renfro in that situation, but um, they kind of ran that man with Renfro, with Kenny Moore, and then that backer that was coming off the edge. I think he was responsible for Richard, as you can see, he kind of worked across the field too, because Richard was in there and blocked, and then kind of leaked out as things developed. But they kind of manned up there and then ran the zone over the top. But they wanted to play man against our guy, and you mess with the king, you best not miss. You know what I'm saying? You come at him, going on me all wrong.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And I think that one of the bigger parts of that too is that like it did become kind of a little bit of an extended play with Carr having to dodge, step up in the pocket. So it almost kind of unfolded a little longer, than Renfro kind of beat him on the last, quarter of that route, because Carr ended up making some time for himself to be able to kind of drop it over the top of it. So
Yeah, and I think too what you saw is that like because we had those three receivers on the left side, both safeties were over the top, and so when Djax runs that deep out, the corner who's playing the cover two, he kind of has to be still drop and be under that, but also you have the safety. I guess the far left safety has to run with that Zay Jones, so then you kind of, or be at least be over the top of it. So then you have the other safety who was playing a little bit more center field. He kind of had to be responsible, but he got sucked in a little bit because you know, he had to be or not sucked in. Sorry, he had to kind of stay a little too over the top and shade a little bit just in case there was anything that ended up getting towards him. So that's what was able that worked out to where Carr could put it over Kenny Moore, and there wasn't over the top safety help because that route ended up because, like you mentioned, the play got extended being far right hash. So that safety kind of started at center field and then kind of had to stay there and shade there and then couldn't really get over to where the play ended up going. So because we had, that deep route, we had Djax, we kind of took some of their guys that way. That guy couldn't get over all the way to the other hash to be able to be over the top in case DC overthrew it or in case he could put a hit on Renfro, whatever. So it worked out. I mean, not how we drew it up, I wouldn't imagine, but how it developed, I think they did a good job on executing. So we'll take it. Big play for us, obviously huge play in the game, and I'm glad we were able to come out there with the dub. And we got to move on to week 18. So